One of the things you might run into when you're in a cold weather climate is trying to keep your lithium ion batteries from going into protection mode while trying to keep them charged and maintained while in your vehicle. I ran into that same problem here, and hopefully I got a solution that might fix it next on N1J Temperature Radio. I did a little research trying to come up with ways without breaking the bank to keeping my lithium ion batteries warm and able to take charges from the solar panel and stay maintained during the winter months here in New England. And we're doing some YouTubing and research. I came up with a solution I think is going to work pretty well for my setup in the cold winter months. I found through a couple other YouTubers, and I'll link them down below, who were also concerned with their battery setups in their trailers during the winter months. And they used this solution called the tank heating pad. And so I found this one from Facon. It's mounted on a foam panel, sticky on one side so you can wrap it around, say, curves and objects. It also has a built-in thermostat, so it will kick in at a predetermined temperature rating, so of a low of 46 degrees, and it will shut off right around 68 or so. It runs off of 12 volts, so I can basically hook it up to my distribution panel. I can hook it directly to the battery. And I needed it because I'm still kind of evolving my secondary battery setup. I've got a DC to DC charger coming that I'll be installing probably soon, on top of also maybe considering upgrading this 50 amp hour to say 168 watt hour or amp hour battery. I'm still doing a little research, working with a couple of companies. Hopefully they'll send me a few reviews that I'm looking to add. So stay tuned on those. But in the meantime, I went into the truck. I took out my Molly panel here, and we are going to wire a small little three-way switch here to the panel. We're gonna wire it in line, and then we are going to wrap the battery in this foam heating pad. And you're gonna walk this with me, and we're gonna go through the wiring setups, and then we'll go back and install it in the truck and see how it works. Now, the Facon pad comes with a 10 amp inline fuse for you to be able to wire it in. We're going to forgo this because I am actually going to be wiring this right to my distribution panel that I have in the truck. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, I will link the video up here in the right-hand corner or left-hand corner on the install that I did for my All-Star. And we're just going to fuse that with the 10 amp fuse. And that way I'll be able to pull from that distribution source and then be able to control it with this three-way switch here. Actually it's a two-way switch, sorry, with an off. And basically shut this off in the summer, spring months, and fall where I don't need it. And then when the winter comes on and where temperatures drop below, where the battery will no longer want to continue to take a charge because it goes into protection mode, this will serve solving getting this battery still charging during those winter months. One of the things that I'm going to try to do, and you're going to kind of walk this through with me, is that the battery itself is about 7 inches tall, or about 7.5 inches tall from top to bottom. The problem I have is that this heating foam pad is just a little bit taller for the whole battery. So it's going to be wrapped, and I'm going to have to mold it a little bit to the edges. About 1/4 inch or so from the bottom of the battery to about almost an inch here off to the side. So positioning it, it'll still overlap, but like I said, based off the foam itself, you can see that the heating element is about 1/4 inch up on each side. This one seems to be a little bit more on that end, but we'll stick it on there and figure it out. And like I said, we're probably going to find out that when we look at the battery itself, you know, we're going to have about a 4-inch gap here that's going to be opened up. So let's go ahead and wrap the battery, and do is just peel back a little bit here just to see what I'm working with in terms of how much I have to play with on either side of the material. Now, I definitely don't want to go too far over the edge and too far underneath. And again, this is just more eyeballing it, because some of the elements, as I can see already from the battery, are going to pretty much be above the edge of the battery itself here, but not too terrible to deal with. Like I said, we can just fold this over because it's really designed to be contoured around a tank. There is some capability or movement in the elements itself. So as I kind of wrap around the battery here, I'm just going slow, making sure that I get everything evenly spaced here and rolled around. Now, you obviously don't want to spend or bend too much of the wiring, but you want to make sure the battery is well covered here. And then I'm going to roll over the edges here on the bottom as I kind of roll this around the back side here. And I might take a knife here and just slit the edges so they nicely fold in to the panel here. So everything sits nice and tight. I just keep spinning here, and we'll tuck these wires out of the way. And like I said, this foam is pretty rigid here in the nature of, you know, it can contouring to the actual battery itself. So far so good. It's looking good here. I'll just keep following the contours of the battery. Roll this over. Just like that. I'm just gonna slice this one here, just so it sits nice and smooth. And see this little gap here, and trying to figure out how I can force this down. But at the same time, I've got a heating element that kind of rides up a little bit. So got to be cognizant of making sure that doesn't get too kinked, because you don't want to break any of that as a full circuit to cause any problems there. So I'm just gonna slightly contour the edges here. Really all I'm doing is just cutting the slit here just far enough down to where I can feel the tension from the wire grid there. And then I am just slowly working my way around into the groove here, trying to find all of the gaps. And then again, I'm going to cut just enough here in the corner, feeling for that edge. There we go, right there. And then we'll just tuck that there, and bring that on top, and roll this over. I probably would, but I don't have one with me. Is if you got like a spudger or something like that, that you can basically pry a little pressure to roll this foam over, it might get it nice and contoured here. And get it wrapped around there. And then we'll just do the same here for this last corner here before I get to the second to last corner. I'll just roll that in. Yeah, I can feel the heating element right in this corner right here. So just trying to be cognizant of not trying to break that circuit or put too much of a bend in the wire where it's gonna cause a problem, and everything kind of stays together. But overall, so far, it looks like things are contouring pretty well. So let's finish up this last end here. Make sure I don't touch the, obviously, screw top. Shock myself, not that I have to worry about that too much. Okay, so there we go. There's the battery. Let's just make sure the foam edges are all pressed down. Everything is well. Now, here's a little thing, is that if you're going to rely on the strap here, obviously, you might want to cut out this section here. I think I'm going to leave it in, just because if I do pull the strap, I'm only going to pull it from one side for whatever reason. So there's that option, but I usually just like to lay that flat. So it's not catching on anything while it's in the truck, but I still want to be able to carry it. So there's the battery heating element. There's the top itself. And everything looks pretty well flat and snug. So yeah, there we go. So there's the battery. She's wrapped in her blanket. What I'm gonna do next is mount the toggle switch to the MOLLE panel here. And what I did was I decided that from a convenience standpoint, having the switch kind of located up here at the top, then I can feed the charging cables to the battery for the thermal blanket there. And so just gonna take a little punch here and my step bit, and we're gonna drill this out to fit the switch there. I finally finished drilling the hole. I took a little black flat spray paint to spray around the connector there. So you see the switch is mounted. It is a 3-position switch. I'm only really using 2 of the sides. One of the sides in the configuration, as I don't need the other one, but I figured, if I have, a future expansion and I want to be able to incorporate that in the switch, I can do that appropriately and not have to wire in a second switch. So now I'm just going to take the feeds from this, and we're going to add them to the appropriate wires here for the battery. And we're gonna then just route them on the back of the panel here, get them all neat and tidy. And I won't torture you with all that, but we'll show you the final result after I get it all wired and ready to reinstall into the truck. So in the setup, here's the switch up here. I've got it all zip tied for the power common coming in, and then this is the switch on for the battery. And so you're going to follow it down, it comes into here, and then I have these 2 leads here that I'm going to power pull. And on the battery there, I've also put 2 power pull connectors there. So primarily it's just for the purposes of easy disconnection. So like this is my other lead here for tying into the power distribution. So I can easily get things on and off. This is just a ring terminal here for the Bluetooth shunt. And that one is just gonna come on and off with the battery connection. But I wanted to make sure things were easily disconnectable if I had to service the panel or set things up again on the bench. I've got to remount this panel here and put the battery in, but here's everything in its setup. I'm gonna drop the battery in now through the back seat here. It's probably gonna be a tighter fit for sure because I've got this extra foam padding around it, but I can drop it down. The snit's pretty snug here under the seat. All right, so in this test, I'm gonna plug it in here, and we're just gonna feed this in here for right now. Just leave this loose just to test it out here. And we're gonna check to confirm that everything is working, and things are starting to power up here. This is already starting to power up here. So I think overall, we should be in good working order. I'm gonna go flip the switch. Here's the on switch. I don't have an LED light. I think I might in the future put in a little LED light here so I can see that it's on. And then at this point, we're just gonna walk you through here. So here's the battery down here. I've got my heater cables right here. We'll see how this starts heating up going forward in the battery. And then right here is all of the connections again for the shunt, which is on, which is good, and the power there. And then we just continue on going on down the list there. So I am going to put the camera around here. I'm going to let this sit for a little bit, let things get warmed up, and see when I come back here in a few minutes what the temperature of the battery feels like, see if it's warm, see what's going on. So it's in the truck currently right now. I'm going to check on the battery status. When I last looked on the Bluetooth BMS software, it said the battery temperature is right around 59, which is right in the range of where it can actually accept a charge and function. So I'll keep an eye on it, keep monitoring it. My thought is we'll see how it plays out over time. I have a feeling from all of the other reviews I saw from other people and talking with a few folks that had implemented something similar for their RVs and other, off-grid kind of battery power in cold weather, these tend to work really well. So, I'm happy. It went in pretty easy. I've got enough fuse protection and current protection that I think overall the system's going to handle fair weather pretty well. Like I mentioned, I think one of the things I will probably do is a 2.0 enhancement, but I probably won't do it now. I think I'll wait until I get my DC to DC charger in and mounted and configured. I'll put in a little status LED light so I know by its color that it's on and running, because that little switch has no visual indicator except that it's positioned in off or on status. So we'll report back, keep you guys updated in this process. I'm sure I'm going to be doing more videos along this line when it comes to getting the DC-DC converter installed. Like I said, I also want to throw in things like a G2 once they become available for Meshtastic. I've got an antenna on the way that I'm going to be mounting to the rack and getting all that wired up. And we'll see how, my other projects that I've got listed for the future will kind of pan out. So looking forward to it. It should be fun. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these videos, as I know I'm enjoying them, minus the cold. It is, like I said, right around 24, 25 here. No wind, thank God. But we're, later this week supposed to get 55. So yeah, who knows what's going to go on. I am just embracing for every avenue, and I thank God for the weather changes because it's helping me improve my systems. And so, yeah, if you've got any comments or feedback or you want to know more, definitely leave those in the comments below. Let me know what you want to see for the next step. Or you want me to work the DC to DC converter, or do you want me to, get into the Meshtastic side of stuff? What order you want to see that in? Let me know. So thanks again for watching. I'm Eric, N1J you are, and put it on.